So good morning. Today we'll start about the human impact on the environment. So in this chapter, you are going to study about concern about the environmental problems, preventive measures and the management, relationship between human population and impact on the environment. You are going to define biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste and also discuss some of the global environmental problems. So first and foremost, we'll see what are environmental problems. Environmental problems may occur due to natural disaster or degradation. So these are the problems which may be due to naturally, or it is also due to some of the degradations caused by the human activities. So here we will discuss some of the natural disasters. What are those? Some natural disasters like floods, tsunami, earthquake, cloudburst. These are some of the natural disasters. We'll discuss each one of them. First one, basically floods. So what is flood? Flooding is overflow of water due to inadequate capacity of bank of river during the heavy rainfall. So you can see a picture, there is an excess of water which has been collected over here, which will cause loss to the property of the people. So what is flood? It is an overflow of water due to inadequate in the sense inability of the capacity of the bank of river to hold excess of water during the heavy rainfall. So that is a flood. So next we will see the most deadly flooding. It was been caused in the year that is in 1931 in China, which has killed almost 20 lakh to 40 lakh people. Means you can imagine it has caused a great loss to the China people, which was occurred during the year that is in 1931. So how can we prevent the loss of the flood? So we will have some of the preventive measures and management. So first one, no construction in the riverbeds, means we should not construct any buildings or any official buildings, say hospitals or restaurants or schools should not be constructed near the riverbeds, because if there is a flood, there may be loss to the people. Secondly, there should be timely cleaning, desilting of water channels and reservoirs, means we should clean the water channels and reservoirs timely, so that there is no clogging of the water channels and lead to the overflow of the water. Thirdly, safe disposal of surplus runoff water, means there has to be safe disposal of excess runoff water. That is, if there is excess of water in one river, it has to be safely disposed to the next river. So there has to be a safe disposal of surplus runoff water. Lastly, construct the flood-proof buildings, means we should construct the buildings which has to be flood proof in the sense these buildings has to be constructed above the river beds, so that if there is excess flow of water, they don't enter into the buildings since they have constructed at the height. So these are flood proof buildings. So these are some of the preventive measures and management for the flood. Next we will see the most important natural disaster, that is cyclones. You can see the picture here, right? So what are cyclones? Basically, the cyclones are intense low pressure areas in the form of depressions or cyclone storms. Means the cyclones basically they occur at a low intense pressure area. Usually the cyclones are associated with the winds or hurricanes. They always move in anti-clockwise direction. You can see the picture here, they always move in a anti-clockwise in a direction. So those are cyclones. Some of the preventive measures for the cyclones. So first one, we should see that decaying trees and unsafe buildings need to be demolished, because whenever there is a cyclone, there are chances that buildings or trees may fall down. So if they are decaying in the sense the trees which are not strong, right? Decaying trees and unsafe buildings, means the buildings which are supposed to fall easily, those buildings we have to demolish. Secondly, head for a proper shelter or evacuation point. Suppose if there is an occurrence of a cyclone, always see that you are at a safest shelter or at a safest evacuation point, and do not move from that particular shelter unless and until you get the intimation of a proper care. Then only you just move from the particular shelter. This is about the cyclone. We'll move upon the next important natural disaster, that is earthquakes. So you can see the picture here, earthquakes, right? So what are earthquakes? So just we can define earthquake is a shaking, rolling or sudden shock of earth's surface. It is shaking, rolling or a sudden shock to the earth's surface. Most of the earthquakes will go unnoticed, means will not come to know that earthquake has occurred. They will go unnoticed. Then how can we identify the earthquake has occurred, right? So we can identify the occurrence of an earthquake by the instrument called as seismograph. So it is an instrument which is used to detect the earthquake. We have one more instrument which is used to calculate the intensity of the earthquake, right? The intensity of the earthquake is measured on a scale called as a Richter scale. What do you mean by intensity of the earthquake? In the sense, how much energy is released during the earthquake, means how much loss has occurred to the people during the earthquake, we can measure by using the Richter scale. At Bhuj and Anjar near Ahmedabad and some other places in Gujarat on 26 January 2002 has occurred a earthquake which has caused a great loss to the people. And also at the Latur, right? Latur in Maharashtra has also experienced the earthquake, a similar natural disaster, that is on 30th September 1993. We will see some of the preventive measures and management of the earthquake. First and foremost, modern earthquake resistant architecture to be adopted. Means if we are constructing any buildings, the government has to follow the modern earthquake resistant architecture should be adopted. Else, suppose if you are traveling, think that you are traveling in a vehicle and earthquake has occurred, what you have to do is stop the vehicle. Stop the vehicle at an open space. In the sense, do not park the vehicle near buildings or near any huge trees. See that you are at an open space so that no things will fall on your head and cause damage to the life. Third one, if you are in a building, suppose if you are in your house and you are unable to move, just cover yourself, your head with a pillow or a blanket. Suppose if the things fall on your head, doesn't cause damage to you. Else, creep under a dining table or a strong bed. You cannot move out of the house, then just creep under a dining table or a strong bed so that you can save your own lives. So these are some of the preventive measures and management for the earthquake. We'll move on to the next important natural disaster, that is forest fire. So what are forest fire? You can see here, right? So this is a picture of a forest fire. Forest fires are natural or controlled forest fire. Means it may be, the forest fire may be due to a natural cause or it may be due to the human activities. Controlled in the sense, it may be due to the human activities. Some of the natural, for example, it may be by the lightning striking the dry trees. Means whenever it rains, the lightning, the thunderstorm and lightning, if it strikes the dry trees, there are chances of catching the fire. So it is one of a natural cause for the forest fire. Else, forest fire is also caused by heat generated in the litter and biomass in dry seasons. It is a heat generated in a litter. What do you mean by litter? Litter is a dry leaves of the plants is called as a litter. And biomass, biomass in the sense, it is a remains of plants and animals. If it is dried in a dry season, they may catch the fire if it is a heat is generated, which leads to the forest fire. Or else, the third cause is it is due to the human negligency. Like if the human beings with negligency, if they drop some of the lighter matchsticks or cigarette stubs, the chances of catching the fire, which leads to the forest fire. So these are some of the causes for the forest fire. What are the effects of the forest fire? We see some of the effects. Firstly, loss of valuable timber resources, biodiversities, and extinction of biolife. Means it leads to the loss of valuable timber resources. We have so much valuable resources in a forest, sandalwood, timber, so we lose them. Secondly, biodiversity. What do you mean by biodiversity? We have a diverse of living organisms in the forest, so we lose the biodiversity. Else it also leads to the extinction of biolife. Means most of the like dinosaurs we cannot see nowadays. It has become extinct. It is the best example for the extinction of organisms. Similarly, in future we cannot see the tigers if there is a frequent forest fire. So it leads to the extinction of biolife. These are some of the effects of the forest fire. The second one, it also leads to the global warming. Global warming in the sense, plants are the one which maintains the balance in the nature. So if we go on losing the plants, it leads to the warming up of the earth, which ultimately leads to the global warming. So this is the second effect of the forest fire. Next one, it leads to change in the microclimate. It means if there is a forest fire at that particular area, there will be change in the climate, drastic changes in the climate, which is nothing but change in the microclimate. Microclimate in the sense, in that particular small area, there will be change in a climate. So it leads to again effect for the life of the people. So these are some of the effects of the forest fire. We will see some of the preventive measures and management for the forest fire. See here, you can see the picture of a litter. As I told you, what is a litter? It is a dried leaves, right? So dried leaves is nothing but called as a litter. So how can we prevent the forest fire? First and foremost, get the dry litter, example, dying twigs, leaves, etc. removed during the summer season. Do not allow the litter to be in the forest. Remove them so that they won't catch the fire easily. So this is one of, first and foremost, that is a preventive measure. Secondly, if there is an occurrence of the forest fire, call for a fire brigade to put off the fire by using the water or digging at the particular zone. So these are some of the preventive measures for the forest fire. We will see the next important natural disaster, that is a tsunami, right? So what is the tsunami? Tsunami is a Japanese word meaning harbor wave. It has come from a Japanese word which is nothing but harbor wave. When see the definition of a tsunami, it involves the displacement of very large quantities of water due to earthquake, landslides or volcanic eruptions under ocean. So basically it is a displacement of huge amount of water. You can see in a picture here, it is a displacement of large quantities of water. Why? Because of occurrence of earthquake or a landslides or volcanic eruptions under the ocean. So there is occurrence of earthquake under the ocean, due to which there is a huge displacement of water, which is nothing but called as a tsunami. So we'll see some of the examples for occurrence of tsunami. That is, it has occurred Indian Ocean tsunami, that is on 26th December 2004 it has occurred, and also on March 11th 2011, one of the most technologically advanced countries, that is Japan, right, it was been hit by an earthquake 9 magnitude, means both the tsunami and earthquake was been occurred, that is hit by an earthquake 9 magnitude on a Richter scale, followed by 13 feet tsunami within a few minutes, right. It has caused a loss to the Japanese people. We'll see the next one. So these are the some of the other examples for natural disasters, that is landslides and cloudburst. So you can see the landslides, right? So what are landslides basically? Landslides triggered by heavy or prolonged rainfall. So how the occurrence of landslides takes place? It is basically due to heavy or prolonged rainfall. So major hazards, it occurs in mountains and hilly regions, steep river banks and coastlines. What happens if there is occurrence of a landslides? It leads to the loss to the life of the people basically, and also it usually occurs on the roads. It leads to the problem for the traffic. So these are some of the effects of the landslides. Secondly, that is a cloud burst. What is this cloud burst? It is an extreme amount of precipitation with hailstorms and thunderstorms. It is an extreme precipitation in the sense it is just like a shower which is falling. You can see the shower bath, right? So it is just like a shower which is falling on a land. It usually occurs for a smaller area. It occurs for a smaller area. It is associated with the hailstorms and thunderstorms. It occurs for a few minutes. It occurs for a smaller area. It occurs for a few minutes and create flood conditions, results in a landslides. Sometimes it leads to the flood conditions and also leads to the landslides. So these are some of the effects of the cloudburst. So we discussed some of the natural disasters till now. So lastly, what we can say that prevention of the natural disaster is not in human hands. We cannot prevent the natural disasters. We can just have a measures to save our own lives from the natural disasters. So early warning systems could help in saving the lives. So we have some of the helpline number, that is helpline during the natural disaster is 1070. Else we can also visit some of the websites for the natural disaster management, that is www.ndmindia.nic.in. So this was, we discussed about the natural disasters. We'll move on for the next important topic, that is impact of human population on the environment. So human population has certain impact on the environment. What are those? We will see one by one. Firstly, it is deforestation, air, water and land pollution, depletion of the fossil fuels like oil, coal and natural gas. Next one, that is biomagnification, depletion of the ozone layer and global warming. We will discuss each one of them in detail now. So first and foremost, we'll see what is deforestation. So what is deforestation? It is cutting of natural forest cover is called deforestation. In short, we can say cutting of trees is called as a deforestation. So what is the purpose of following the deforestation? Basically, we will follow because growing crops, we need the land, right? And also for grazing the cattle. So we'll follow the deforestation, or it is also due to the meeting the demand of the wood and paper. To meet the demand of wood and paper, we follow the deforestation. So what are the effects? If we follow the deforestation, what will be the effect of it? It leads to the reduced rainfall, right? So when we cut the trees are the one which maintain the balance in nature. So if we cut the trees, there will be a reduced rainfall. So if there is a reduced rainfall, it results in a lowering of a water table, right? It leads to the lowering of water table because it affects the water cycle when there is a reduced rainfall. It also leads to the soil erosion. What is soil erosion? Loss of topsoil is nothing but soil erosion. So what happens by soil erosion takes place? Because it is the trees which hold the soil tightly. The roots of the trees will hold the soil tightly. So if we follow the deforestation, so we will lose the topsoil easily by the running water. So the phenomena is nothing but called as soil erosion. Next one, it leads to increased carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere. So if we cut the trees, it is the trees which take the carbon dioxide in and give out the oxygen. So if there are no trees, there will be an increase in the concentration of carbon dioxide level in the atmosphere. And lastly, it leads to the global warming, because increase in carbon dioxide will lead to the global warming. So these are the drastic effects of the deforestation. So what are the remedies? Then if we follow the deforestation, we will see some of the remedies for the deforestation. Firstly, reforestation. What do you mean by reforestation? It is the re-establishment of the forest cover naturally or artificially. Right? Reforestation is just quite opposite to the deforestation. Where the forest was been removed, we will re-establish the forest there. So that is nothing but called as reforestation. Else, we can also celebrate Vana Mahotsava. What do you mean by Vana Mahotsava? It is one of a festival, we can say. That is, we plant the trees in the first week of July. Some of the remedies for deforestation, we can also follow the afforestation. What do you mean by afforestation? It is the establishment of a forest in an area where the preceding vegetation. So this is basic difference between afforestation and reforestation. Afforestation is establishment of forest in a vegetation area, whereas a reforestation is establishment of a forest where there was forest before. Else we can also follow silviculture. What is silviculture? It is a practice of controlling the establishment, growth, composition, health and quality of trees to meet the diverse needs and values. Means in silviculture we are improving the quality of the trees according to our needs and values. So it is called as silviculture. The next important impact of the human population on the environment, that is pollution. What is pollution? It is an undesirable change in the environment due to the human activity is called as pollution. Desirable in the sense which is comfortable. Undesirable changes will happen in the environment. It may be in the air, it may be in water, soil, or it may be a noise. So on the whole we call it as an environmental pollution. We have some of the types of environmental pollution like air pollution, water pollution, right? Thirdly, it is a land pollution is also called as sometimes soil pollution. The last one is a noise pollution. You can see the pictures here, right? So on the whole, we call them as a environmental pollution. So here we will have a land pollution is because we will not segregate the waste properly, right? That is called as, we have two types of waste. What are those? Biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. What are these? We will see. First, it is a biodegradable waste. Biodegradable waste is nothing but it is a waste or a substances that can be degraded by the microbes. It can be degraded by the microbes into harmless and non-toxic substances. Here, by the name itself, we can understand bio in the sense microbes, degradable means which can be degraded into harmless and non-toxic substances are called as biodegradable waste. Some of the examples we have like leaves, twigs, hay or dung. You can also say some of the kitchen waste or some of the remains of fruits and vegetables. So these are some of the examples for biodegradable waste. So next we have non-biodegradable waste, means the waste which cannot be easily degraded, just quite opposite to the biodegradable, which cannot be degraded easily. Example, aluminium cans, plastics, glass, electronic waste or batteries. So see, these are some of the examples for non-biodegradable waste. So due to the air pollution, what happens? There is an ozone depletion. We have discussed till now, that is a deforestation and some of the pollution. In that we discussed about soil pollution. Now what happens due to air pollution? Due to the air pollution, the ultimate result is the ozone depletion. So you can see the picture here, that is ozone depletion. What does it mean? The reduction in the thickness of ozone umbrella over the Arctic and Antarctic regions is called as ozone hole. So the ozone hole formation is nothing but ozone depletion. There is a layer over the Arctic and Antarctic regions, that is thick ozone umbrella. It gets some of the holes. The phenomena is called as a ozone depletion. How does it happens actually? It is due to this reaction. See, this is a chlorine. From where does we get this chlorine? We get it from the CFC. What is CFC? Chlorofluorocarbons. The chlorofluorocarbon is one of the air pollutant which releases the chlorine molecule. This chlorine combines with the ozone, resulting in a formation of chlorine oxide and the oxygen molecule. So ultimately there is a depletion of the ozone, which is nothing but called as an ozone hole. So we have some of the hazards due to the ozone hole. What are those? Firstly, it leads to the sunburn, fast aging of skin, cancer of a skin or cataract. It also leads to some of the genetic disorders. And lastly, it leads to the reduced productivity at the sea and the forest. So these are some of the hazards or the effects of a ozone depletion. The damage to the ozone layer can be prevented. Then how can we prevent this ozone depletion? We have some of the preventive measures. Reduce the consumption of CFCs by adopting the alternative technologies. As I told you, it is a CFC which releases the chlorine molecule. Chlorofluorocarbon, as first C stands for chlorine, right? It is a chlorine element. So stop using or consumption of the CFCs. Try to adopt some of the alternative technologies. Else, Discourage the use of aerosol containing spray cans. Like stop using the perfume bottles, right? If you stop using the perfume bottle, there will be reduction in the spray, that is aerosols reduction will be followed. So by following these measures, you can prevent the damage to the ozone layer. The ozone depletion, ultimately, it leads to the global warming. How? That is, whenever there is an ozone hole formation, the entry of the UV rays takes place and the exit of the UV rays will be stopped, because our environment will be increased by the carbon dioxide content. So it will trap the UV rays. So as a result, what happens? There is an increase in the Earth's temperature, which is nothing but called as global warming. So when we see the definition global warming, the Earth's average temperature is increasing each year, leading to the global warming. Unless and until we stop the using some of the CFCs and aerosol containing sprays, we cannot get rid of the global warming. We'll move on to the next one. So this global warming will have some of the effects. So what are those effects? First and foremost, melting of the snow caps leads to rising of sea level, right? Whenever there is an excess of temperature, that is melting of snow caps takes place, leading to the rising of sea level. Secondly, it leads to submerging of the coastal areas of the Maldives Islands in the Indian Ocean. Obviously, whenever there is an increase in the sea level, it leads to the submerging of the coastal areas of the Maldives Islands in Indian Ocean. Next one, it leads to reduced grain size and low yield. Since the grains, to grow the grains, we require a particular environment for the growth. So there will be a reduction in the quality as well as the quantity of the grains. So this is some of the effects of the global warming. Lastly, it leads to the interference with the hatching of the eggs in certain fish. See, fishes also require certain particular temperature for hatching the eggs. So if there is an excess increase in the temperature of the globe, it interferes with the hatching of the eggs in certain fishes. So these were some of the effects of global warming. Next, we will see what is a photochemical smog. That is a resultant of this air pollutants. It leads to a photochemical smog. What is this? It is the pollutant like nitrogen dioxide and some of the particulate matter like soot. Soot, in a sense, this is one of the remain which is being produced during the burning of some of the carbon containing materials. If you burn, it produces the soot. So when nitrogen dioxide and the soot get modified in a sunlight, forms a sheet-like structure called as a photochemical smog. See, photo in the sense sunlight, chemical in the sense nitrogen dioxide and the soot, resulting in a formation of a smog called as a photochemical smog. Then what is this smog? Smog is nothing but it is a combination of a fog, smoke and the fumes released by the mills and the factories. So this is called as a smog. It also leads, the air pollution also leads to the acid rain. What do you mean by acid rain? Acid rain is caused when nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxides and particulate matter in the atmosphere react with the water. It is the nitrogen dioxide, which is an air pollutant, sulfur dioxide, other particulate matter will react with the water, resulting in a formation of an acid that is nothing but called as an acid rain. Here you have a picture of an acid rain. As I told you, nitrogen dioxide, you can see here, right? The nitrogen dioxide and sulfur dioxide, these have been released by the industries. These have been released by the industries. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, yeah.
Ma'am, smog repeat once again, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. We'll go back. Hello? Okay. So here you can see, right? So pollutants like nitrogen dioxide, I think you have understood about photochemical smog. What is smog? It is a combination of a fog, smoke. From where do we get the smoke and fumes? It is by the industries, right? So when a fog and the smoke and fumes are released by the mills and factories, the combination results in a formation of a Smog. See, what is fog here? Fog is nothing but it is a dust particles with the moisture. Combination of this is called fog. When it combines with the smoke and fumes released by the mills and factories, it results in a formation of a smog. That is, next we will discuss about acid rain. It is, as I told you, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and some of the other particulate matter in the atmosphere react with the water, resulting in a formation of a acid rain. We'll see in detail how actually. See here, this is a picture of acid rain. The nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide. These are the two pollutants, we can say, air pollutants, which are been released from the, that is chimney of a factory. They rise up, right? They combine with the water molecule in the form of a clouds. They come down in the form of a rain, and this rain is nothing but acid, that is sulfuric acid, H2SO4, nitric acid, HNO3. When they fall down, that is nothing but called as an acid rain, right? So we will have a definition once again. What is acid rain? Acid rain is caused when the nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, some of the other particulate matter in the atmosphere react with the water, is called as an acid rain. So we have some of the effects of acid rain. What are those? It affects the aquatic life and terrestrial life, right? What are aquatic life? The life in the water is called as an aquatic life. The terrestrial life, the life on a land, is called as an terrestrial life. Both are being affected by the acid rain. And also the fish cannot survive in acidic water below pH 4.5. Since pH 7 is a neutral, if it is below 7, it will be acidic in nature. If it is pH 4.5, it cannot survive, that is fish cannot survive in such a acidic water. Thirdly, the buildings, monuments are also damaged by the acid rain. That is, if acid falls on a building and monuments, say for example, Taj Mahal has lost its lustrous property, some of the property, because of the acid rain. So it may affect the buildings and the monuments by the acid rain. Lastly, it also increases the corrosion rate of the metals. So corrosion rate, the best example of corrosion we can say rusting, right? On the whole, we can say the metals will lose its shining property, is called as a corrosion. So acid rain will increases the corrosion rate of the metals. So till now we discussed about the some of the topics. We'll move upon some of the questions, right? So first and foremost, fill in the blanks. We'll see. Dash and dash are the examples of the natural resources of water pollution. So excreta of animal or human and agricultural water. Thermal discharge into the rivers may lead to the death of dash. It leads to the death of fish. Presence of dash and dash in water may lead to infectious diseases. That is, presence of human and animal excreta in water may lead to the infectious diseases. Fourth one, enrichment of the water bodies with the nutrients coming from fields is called as eutrophication. It is called as what? Eutrophication. Fifth one, non-biodegradable waste such as dash, that is DDT, may lead to the biomagnification upon entering the food chain. Domestic sources such as dash and dash lead to land pollution, that is plastic bags and glass bottles. Next one, that is unwanted sound may lead to dash pollution. It leads to what? That is noise pollution. Noise pollution may be caused by dash and dash. It may be caused by vehicles or loudspeakers or loud volume of TV and music systems or fireworks. We'll see some of the MCQs. Environmental pollutions can be controlled by, right? Environmental pollution can be controlled by, we'll see the options: checking atomic blast, manufacturing electric vehicles, sewage treatment, all of the above. So can anyone answer? for this question. Just go through the question. Environmental pollution can be controlled by, how can we control? Checking the atomic blast, manufacturing electrical vehicles, sewage treatment, all of the above. So I got an answer, that is Hemant, right? All of the above, yes, exactly. And also from Varsha, that is option 4, exactly. So all of the above, superb. So how it is all of the above? See here, checking the atomic blast, because atomic blast is nothing but it is a cause for a noise pollution. Manufacturing electrical vehicles, obviously if we follow the electric vehicles we can overcome the air pollution, right? Sewage treatment leads to water pollution. So they are asking about environmental pollution, so all of the above option is correct answer. We'll move for the next question. Which of the following item is not included in the environmental auditing? Means there is one item which has not been included in the environmental auditing. What it is? See properly, not included. First one, pollution monitoring schemes. Secondly, scrutiny by the government agencies. Third one, safety provisions for industrial workers. Last one, storage of toxic chemicals. Any answers? See, pollution monitoring schemes. They will include pollution monitoring scheme. Just go through it. Scrutiny by the government agencies. Safety provisions for industrial workers. Storage of toxic chemicals. Any answers? So Varsha has given this answer, second one. Exactly, Varsha. That is scrutiny by the government agencies. See here, pollution monitoring schemes. Obviously, they have to monitor the pollution. So they will have schemes which will monitor the pollution. Safety provisions for the industrial workers, because industries will release some of the toxic chemicals, so safety provisions has to be followed. So government will follow this. Storage of toxic chemicals. We have to store the chemicals very safely. So this is also followed. So second one, that is scrutiny by the government agencies, is not included in the environmental auditing. Third one, human kidney disorder is caused by the pollution of. So you have 4 options, that is cadmium, iron, cobalt and carbon. So which element will lead to the human kidney disorder? I have got an answer. Can anyone try? Which element of this? Okay, Hemant has answered cobalt. Any other answers? Okay, so see here, iron, cobalt and carbon, they are not toxic to the human beings. It is a cadmium, right? The answer is cadmium. The cadmium is what is cadmium? It is a byproduct of zinc production. Means it has been produced during the zinc production as a byproduct. Once it has been absorbed in the body, right, cadmium is efficiently retained in the body. It remains in the body and it is toxic basically to the kidneys, especially to the proximal tubular cells. Its main target site is proximal tubular cells, and it get accumulated there, and sometimes it may lead to the kidney failure whenever its concentration has been increased. So it is, the answer is, it is a cadmium which leads to the human kidney disorder. We'll go for the 4th question. Which one of the following is an indicator of air pollution? You will have options. It is a chaos, or it is an algae, or it is a bryophytes, or the lichens. Which of these are the indicators of? Superb. Hemant has answered. It is the 4th one. I'll not say whether it is correct or wrong. Let me have some more. Okay. It is lichens, right? So lichens are the indicators of air pollution. Whenever there is an air pollution, there is an occurrence of the lichens. You might have read, right? So lichens are the indicators of air pollution. We'll move for the next one. That is absence of fish along a river indicates what, right? Whenever there is an absence of fish along the river, it indicates what? It is a zone of degradation. It is a zone of active decomposition, or it indicates all zones of pollution, or it is a zone of recovery. So let's try. Who will answer? Is it a zone of degradation? Whenever there is an absence of fish in a river, what does it indicates? So anybody? Zone of degradation, zone of active decomposition. Okay, all zones of pollution. I got from Varsha, it is all zones of pollution. Okay. Any other from answers from anyone? Okay, so let's see the answer. Okay, Varsha, option 1. Okay, zone of degradation. Exactly. It is a zone of degradation, right? So why what happens if it is a degradation in the river, there will be absence of a fish, right? So it is not a zone of active decomposition or a pollution. We cannot say zone of pollution because there are also some of the phytoplanktons in the river, right? That is some of the plants. So we cannot say it is a zone of pollution or a zone of a recovery. So option 1 is correct. We'll move up on the 6th question. Stone cancer occurs due to. So here you have to think what is a stone cancer, right? So it occurs due to acid rain, global warming, radioactivity, or bacterial action. So try for it. Is it acid rain, global warming, radioactivity, or bacterial action? Okay, I got from Hemant, third option, radioactivity. See, stone cancer, option 4 from Varsha, bacterial action. Okay, so we have discussed till now about it, children. So it is a stone cancer, right? So it caused by, does a bacteria will infect a stone, right? Any other answers? Okay, so the right answer is acid rain, right? So cancer to the stones, yes, superb. I got from Varsha, option 1, correct. It is a acid rain. So it is a acid rain. Whenever acid rain falls on the stones, as I told you, it affects the monuments and buildings, so they lose their lustrous properties. So that is a phenomena called as a stone cancer. So it occurs due to the acid rain. So option 1 is correct. 7th one, the radioactive strontium-90 causes brain cancer, skin cancer, lung cancer, or bone cancer. So any ideas, children? So radioactive strontium-90 causes. Any answers? Brain cancer, skin cancer, lung cancer, or a bone cancer? Basically, the radioactive elements are toxic, right? So radioactive pollution, it leads to the cancers. So we have a specificity here. Strontium-90 causes which cancer? Is it a brain cancer, skin cancer, lung cancer, or a bone cancer? Okay, we'll see the answer. So that is skin cancer, right? It causes what? Basically, whenever it is being absorbed by the skin, it leads to the skin cancer. So how is it? Strontium-90 is a radioactive isotope, right, of strontium. What is isotope? Which has a same atomic number but different mass number. So that is isotope. It is a isotope of strontium produced by nuclear power plants. Poisoning usually occurs through an accidental injection. It may be accidentally, it may be injected, right? Studies have also linked strontium-90 to various forms of skin cancer in cases where the radiations was absorbed through the skin. It leads to some of the other cancers also. It basically is absorbed by the skin. So for specifically it in what causes the skin cancer, that is strontium-90. We'll see the 8th question. Okay, biodegradable waste can usually be converted into useful substances with the help of, right? So you know biodegradable waste are the waste which can be degraded by the microbes. So they can be usually converted into useful substances with the help of, is it with the bacteria, or is it with the help of a nuclear proteins, or by radioactive substances, or by the viruses? How can we convert them into useful substances? Any answers? Okay. Okay, Hemant, bacteria. Option 1. Good. Okay. So how can we convert? Obviously, what is the answer? We'll see. The answer is bacteria. It is a bacteria which converts the biodegradable waste into a useful substances. So this was just till we will summarize what all we learned till now, right? So we'll see the explanation, some of the explanation part for the bacteria. See, they are the abundant organisms which play a very important role in the decomposition of the organic matter. What do you mean by decomposition? That is decaying, right? The decaying part of the work is being done by the bacteria of the organic matter in the sense biodegradable waste. So it is a bacteria is the right answer. So we'll just summarize till now what all we learned, right? So we have learned about a definition of environmental problems till now. So what is environmental problem is and how it is caused. We also saw that it is caused by it may be due to naturally or it may be due to the human activities. So going to the naturally problems, that is, they are called as natural disasters. We have discussed some of the natural disasters till now. Like we have discussed earthquake, tsunami, forest fire, cloud burst, landslides. These were some of the natural disasters. We also saw their preventive measures. And ultimately we concluded that it is not in our hand. We can just have a preventive measures. After that, we saw what is the impact of the human beings on the environment, some of the impact of the human activities like deforestation. We saw the pollution, right? And we also see some air pollution, effects of air pollution like global warming, ozone depletion, and the acid rain. So these are some of the main points you have to focus on it. Some of the important points on the human impact on the environment. Okay. So if there are few more questions in this website, that is EDURapid.com. You can just go through it and you go through some of the important questions which helps for your exams. Okay. Thank you.